Hi everyone, how are we all doing? Excellent, good to hear. It's great to be here. It's great to be in front of you all. I have an 18-month-old son at home, and I'm used to an audience of one, so this is fantastic for me. So obviously here to talk about foundational network configuration security, zero trust, and most importantly, the PCI DSS version 4.0. My name's Ian Robinson, and I'm the Chief Architect at Titania, and I work closely with customers and partners to shape our NIPRA Enterprise platform. Now, NIPRA Enterprise is a security and compliance assessment and assurance platform. So I'm going to show you how, using this, you can achieve continuous, sustainable, effective, and maintainable compliance assessments at scale with risk prioritization, focus, and remediation. I'm going to talk about this from a CDE perspective. And so this dovetails nicely into protecting the CDE and beyond. I think we can all agree that PCI DSS 4.0 boasts the most significant changes since 2004. And this really reflects the increase in risk that the industry now needs to mitigate. In fact, the Council has been leading the way for some time on this and has been promoting the likes of effective segmentation in previous iterations of the specification. In particularly segmentation of the CDE. So effective segmentation can help reduce your attack surface. So if a host gets infected, it's contained within that small segment of the network. It also reduces your susceptibility to expert attacks on the CDE, but not only expert attacks, some of the less sophisticated attacks like ransomware. So recent studies have shown that potentially 84% of organizations in the last 12 months or so have had that happen to them. So it's pretty important. Also, 80% of traffic is stereotypically inside the perimeter on your network and within your CDE. So segmentation helps prevent the lateral movement. And I'm drawing this to your attention because 4% in this study of organizations are assessing all of the devices within their CDE, not just the perimeter. So segmentation and effective segmentation is a valuable strategy to meet PCI 4.0 standards and also other standards as well. It's a zero trust foundational capability. And it's one that really we should assume that, well, we should always assume that our perimeter is breached. I mean, why not think about that? Why not think that, don't just trust, verify. Assume that we've been breached and focus on network security within the perimeter. So segmentation is vitally important, but how do we ensure that all devices in our network maintain a secure configuration? PCI 4.0 also recommends assess the risk on all devices where automation allows, rather than just sampling. So all devices, routers, switches, firewalls. Promotes security as a continuous process. And where not necessarily achievable due to resource, at the very least, when devices change, assess those changes. So to deliver security from compliance, you also need to fix what you need and what you find in risk prioritized order. So moving towards continuous requires security operations centers and network operations centers to move beyond tick box compliance. And in many cases, the current approach is failing particularly due to networks being very complex and networks changing on a daily basis. Inaccurate automation and insufficient resource means that device sampling and annual pass-fail audits are commonplace. And this is why so many CDEs are often breached and are often entirely preventable. Identifying and addressing configuration drift at scale is a major challenge. But it is the key to effective, sustainable, and consistent PCI DSS 4.0 compliance. So let's look at some new-to-market technology that can help organizations achieve this. Now, what I'm about to do now is I'm about to play a video rather than a live demonstration, and I'm going to attempt to try and talk all over this. So let's see if my speed of speaking actually keeps up with the video. So effectively, some of you hopefully have heard of NIPA. NIPA is our security and compliance assessment tool. It's designed to sit on a machine on the network or close proximity to the configuration files. NIPA Enterprise, what we've effectively done is taken that product, containerized it, and scale it out. This allows us to continuously assess segments of the network, so we can target and identify different areas of the network and provide different compliance assessments against those areas of the network. We're designed to be independent, so we sit outside of your operational network. We don't have agents, so we're agentless. We're really designed to effectively have read-only access to your configuration management database. This allows us to pull the configs and build a virtual model based on those configs and effectively perform the assessment against that virtual model. We are deployable in, I've just realized the video isn't playing. What we should see, oh yeah. Okay, this is going to be fun because I'm going to have to keep up with this now. There we go. Okay, we can see that we're logging into the system, guys. This is brilliant. So, yeah, so we're designed to be agentless. We connect up to your CMDB, configuration management database. So if you're using something like ServiceNow, SolarWinds, then we can extract the configuration files and build that virtual model and perform assessments against that virtual model. We do a lot of work with MIL-fed. So a lot of the time we're working with customers that require us to be operational within an air-gapped network. So this is deployable even as a virtual machine or an Amazon machine image that you can deploy into the cloud. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to manage configuration drift. So feed us the configuration files. We can perform those assessments for you. And if you're following security best practices and performing segmentation, that segmentation data can help us target and identify areas of the network and perform different assessments against those different areas of the network. So this is where, because the video started a bit late, guys, I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. But let's just carry on. So I'm going to talk about segmentation. What you see on here is a nice, pretty dashboard, but we track devices. So every time there's a configuration file, we build a representation of that device. And if in your CMDB, you can provide metadata around, it could be anything from zones, it could be criticality on your network, it could be identification of that segment. So if it's your CDE, labeling it as this is a device configuration and it is part of my CDE. We can take that and store it against the representation of the device. And that helps us to, with our powerful scheduling engine and flexible scheduling engine, we can perform assessments at different cadences against those configuration files and those devices. Up on the dashboard here at the top right, you'll see that there's a box saying sensors, and there's 5 of them. So sensors are essentially our NIPR platform being installed. So this is like 5 NIPR systems going to work for you. This allows us to work in environments where we're dealing with hundreds of thousands of devices, and you might have a cadence of daily. So here, this is the examples of devices here. We have an ACME organization, and we can label various different segments of the network. For example, a data center. A data center might be, have different compliance requirements to, say, the CDE. We can also apply labels for device types, for example. They're completely agnostic, so you can build your own labels and assign those to devices. They could be geographic. So if you have multiple networks scattered across the globe, you can provide geographic location, and that can help drive your schedules and how you wish to target various devices and perform assessments against them. Hopefully in a minute I should hopefully be caught up with where we are. But this is still better than doing a live demo. So here we have schedules. I touched on that briefly. Schedules allowed us to pick various different cadences, so even as granular as hourly, but if you want to assess the compliance posture of your CDE on a daily basis, for example, you can do so just by targeting the CDE. When you delve down into a schedule, you can see the devices that it's currently targeting. You can also see the history of previous schedules that were run. So this allows you to kind of look back over history and see how many devices were scheduled, and in a minute we can delve down into the reports that were generated as a result of that schedule. So here we go into reports. That isolates all the devices that were audited as a part of that schedule execution at that point in time. And for those of you that are familiar with NIPR, this should look fairly familiar now when we delve into the actual report itself. So this is a dedicated PCI DSS 4.0 report that we are currently developing, and we are working with QSAs to enhance. So what we have here is we have a particular device, we have pass or fail information. But because we're coming at this from several years of penetration testing and network security background, we can apply risk profiles to this. So we can identify what's most critical out of the non-compliances. This allows us to produce things like heat maps, and this allows us to provide non-compliance testing procedures that are performed in risk prioritization order, allowing you to focus on the most critical ones first. Equally, we also provide pass information. Now, we're producing evidence-based information for both non-compliance and compliance. So we're telling you what we performed. So these are the checks that we performed, what we found, and how to remediate this against specific devices, so device-specific remediation. Equally, where we found failures, we can provide extra information telling you what failed, why, and information around it. Again, because we're coming from a network security and penetration test background, we can also tell you, for that particular issue, the ease of exploitation, so how easy it was for an attacker to exploit, how easy it is to fix. So is this something I can quickly run on the device while it's live and that's it, brilliant, I fixed it? Or is this like a planned involvement? So do I need to have and plan outages in order to fix this? So this is great from an individual device point of view, and it's human readable. we can see it, we can produce a nice comprehensive report, we can give that to QSAs when we're being audited. But what about at scale? So when you're dealing with, say, 300,000 devices, you don't really want to be reading through all of those. Security operations centers are more interested in, like, the overall risk posture. What is my current PCI compliance posture across my network? The information that we're producing is also in machine-readable format in JSON, and we can pump that out to various themes. For example, here we've got Splunk, and we've built some dashboards here to demonstrate the power of the data we're producing. So trend information, you can see devices that were assessed over the period of time. You can also see the compliance pass failure breakdown and ratio over time. And you can also see at the bottom graph there, you can see the compliance failures in risk prioritization order. So stereotypically, you'd like to see this where over time, network operations teams are going about their business, fixing issues with your networking devices, particularly the highs and the criticals first. But then you might have spikes, and you can use the data to kind of identify, well, why is that? Is that because we have configuration drift and we've gone from being compliant to non-compliant? Or is it because we're now assessing more devices on our network, or we've onboarded more devices? Now, if we want to see the current state of affairs, we can drill down into the data. And similar information, we can provide pass and fail information on the network currently. We can show you how many devices that are being assessed as a result of that. And what we have here is compliance failures broken down by PCI requirement. But there is a risk overlay on top of that, so broken down by severity. So identifying where you should be focused on fixing first. You can drill down into the testing procedures. Equally, that gives you the same risk overlay. And you can drill even further into the data. And you've got 14 devices, or sorry, in this example, 9 devices that have a compliance failure on that testing procedure, and you can identify which devices they are when we found that particular non-compliance. And you can even go a little bit further, and you can target a specific device. And there you hopefully see similar information to what we're producing in the human readable report. We can provide impact to network, ease of exploitation, recommendation ratings, what we did, so what checks we performed, what the results of those checks were and information surrounding it, and then device-specific remediation. So from both a human-readable perspective and a machine-readable perspective, you've got this kind of helicopter view of your data, and you can drill right back into individual device-specific at moments in time where your compliances are, where your non-compliances are. So key takeaways, really, I'd like to go and get across is, with tools like this, you can automate sustainable, effective, and consistent assessments of devices at scale. And we're talking all devices, so critical network infrastructure like firewalls, switches, and routers. You can do so with risk prioritization and remediation, and helping you to perform PCI DSS 4.0 at scale for your CDE continuously. But also from another perspective, let's say your NOC teams are going about fixing issues, rather than waiting until the next schedule comes around. What we can do is provide a proactive assessment to help your NOC team say, hey, I've got this plan here. I'm going to fix these 4 critical issues I have on my network. I can make the change to the device. That device propagates down into the CMDB, so the new configuration arrives. Nipper Enterprise can detect that change, perform a proactive assessment, and light up a dashboard straight away. So rather than having to wait to the next continuous cycle, you can get that feedback instantly. If you have any questions, we are at booth 36. We'd love for you to come and see us, carry on the conversation. If you have any questions, please do come and see us. I believe that's my time up. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show.